Okay, so go to Al Imran. And as you mentioned in Surah Baqarah, there is more of an emphasis on the Jews, and on Al Imran, there is more of an emphasis on the Christians, besides many, many other things. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins in the name of Allah, the most merciful, compassionate. Alif Lam Mim, we remind ourselves that these are symbols that we do not understand. This is not a style of Arabic. The Arabs, they don't start poetry with letters, they don't start stories with letters, something that's totally beyond, we don't understand what it is. But as we mentioned, if we go through them, we find that they are half of all the letters that are used in Arabic, the alphabet of Arabic. So there's 28 letters in Arabic alphabet, and 14 are used at the beginning of the surahs. We go through the different types of letters, the huruf of rakhawa, the huruf of isti'la, the huruf of qalqala, all these different rules in tajweed. We're going to find exactly half of them are being used. So it's as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, I have half of the letters, you have half of the letters, bring it on. You write a Quran, and I'll write a Quran. We'll see which is better. Right? That's a tahaddi, the challenge. We can do that. So it says, Alif Lam Mim, Allah, there is no God worthy of worship except Him, the ever living, the sustainer. He has revealed to you, O Prophet, the book in truth, confirming what came before it, and has revealed the Torah and the Gospel. So we believe in the Torah, the Old Testament, and we believe in the Gospel, the New Testament, but we don't believe that what they have is the original work. Right? And so sometimes you can read things and it's obviously true, right? And other things obviously false, right? Certain stories in the Old Testament, it's obvious, like Sayyidina Ayub had a fight with Allah and won, right? Like, what are you talking about, right? Or that, very, very disgusting things about prophets. So it's key to understand in the Old Testament, Allah is scary and horrible, and the prophets are not good people. Mm-hmm. So that's the Jewish mind. Allah is not a good person. Prophets are not good people. Why should I be a good person? That's not a concept. The concept is a God is powerful. He chose us, the race of Jews, so we are powerful. If you want to be powerful, you've got the right person to deal with, right? It's like you grew up in Italy, in Sicily, and your granddad was a mafia boss. He wasn't a nice person, but he was a powerful person. And your dad said, listen to grandpa and you'll get money. You listen to grandpa and you got money. There's no reason to be good. Nobody taught you to be good because your dad wasn't good, your grandpa's not good. But if you listen to your grandpa, you'll have money and power and people will respect you. That's all. That's where they're coming from. In the New Testament, God is nice, God is merciful, God died for us, He sacrificed Himself for us, God went through pain, and He's forgiving and accepts everybody. Doesn't matter what race. Totally different message, right? Totally different message. Who is the God? He is powerful and merciful. He is kind and terrifying. He has power. He also has mercy. And he doesn't choose people based on race, right? And so it's very important to have, when talking to a Christian, ask them, have you read the Bible? And they're like, yeah, yeah. You said, no, have you actually read the Bible? Say, no. They're going to read the Bible and then they'll come back to you and have questions because the Bible is pretty insane, right? It's pretty crazy. And if you read the New Testament, it's like this big, right? There's more information about Sayyidina Maryam in the Quran than there is in the Bible, right? We probably have more quotes in our hadith and our from the Salaf from Sayyidina Isa than there is in the Bible. So the people they think they don't know what the Bible is. They don't know where the Bible comes from and they don't read it. Right? It's just an idea in their head. Right? But this is very important. Somebody reads the Bible like, oh my God, this is nuts. Right? Most people they don't, when you read the Old Testament, they just kind of skip over it because it's weird. Like it doesn't make sense to them. The Old Testament is like a story of the Jews and it's not very good necessarily. Right? And it almost sounds like it sounds kind of odd on many, many things. The New Testament, there's certain things that are clear, certain things that are very unclear, but it's very, very short. Like you could read it in an afternoon. Like if I don't know who's, I mean, you see my books, like at home, you see like the Musnad of Imam Ahmad, 50 volumes of hadith, 50 volumes, right? Somebody who's memorized 100,000 hadith. So the amount of information we have from our prophet, the amount of information they have from their prophet is like nothing. Right? So there's so many hadiths and very few things from Sayyidina Isa in the New Testament. Even in the New Testament, half of it is not even from him himself. Right? It's not even the words of Jesus, a description. It's like seerah. Right? Imagine you had a short seerah, it was a small book, plus some seerah of the Sahaba and Tabi'een, very small, with a few stories here and there. It's very short. Right? So it's important to understand that. So we believe in them, but we don't believe this is the original works. He revealed the Torah and the Gospel previously as a guide for people and also to reveal the standard to distinguish between right and wrong. Surely those who reject Allah's revelations, past and present, will suffer a severe torment, for Allah is Almighty, capable of punishment. Surely nothing on earth or in the heavens is hidden from Allah. He is the one who shapes you in the wombs of your mothers as He wills. There is no God worthy of worship except Him, the Almighty, the All-Wise. He is the one who has revealed to you, O Prophet, of which some verses are precise. They are the foundation of the book, while others are elusive. So, a very important thing, Brother Muhammad Sadiq is not here right now, but when I first came to the school, the first department I needed to work with in an Islamic school is language arts, because language is everything. When you do language arts, your kid at school is doing a story, you need to know what he's reading, because in language arts, you deal with language and you deal with emotions and morals. So they do a story about somebody and you're processing in your mind what is good and what is bad. So that's like the most important thing. So when you change literature, you change people's morality. So it's very, very important. The second most important thing is history. So people don't care about language arts because they say you don't need it for becoming a doctor. And people don't study history because it's pointless. History is pointless, a bunch of old facts. But history and language arts is all we do in Islamic studies. That's all we do. This morning, the Sheikh from Azhar, he's asking me a question. He says, I'm teaching this book. I'm going to teach balagha, teach rhetoric, metaphor, simile. This is all language arts. That's all we do. When we do tafsir, I'm doing two things. I'm looking at language. What does a word mean? And what is the metaphor and what are these things? And I'm looking at history, who said what, and how do I know he said it? That's all we do. So when you see a civilization not emphasizing language arts and not emphasizing history, you know they're going down the hill, right? So for example, I was in Jordan, and these are the two easiest things to study. If you study Arabic language at university, it's easy. Anybody can study Arabic language. Can you speak Arabic? Yeah, okay, go ahead. You don't need to be intelligent, right? History, you don't even need in Jordan, you don't even have to have a degree in history to teach history because it's a pointless topic, right? Whereas history is the most important thing, right? In the past, if you want to be a politician, you study history, right? I intentionally did not choose to do history in England because it was too hard, right? Even though I was a really good student, I wasn't allowed to do English literature because it was too hard. So a civilization or a country that values itself, values its language, and values its history. A country that does not value itself and does not value that will not study its history. So you go to Afghanistan now, be like, what should I study? Oh yeah, you can do adabiyat, adabi, right? So it's easy. Can you memorize some poetry? It's easy. But that's the hardest stuff in reality. The hardest stuff, right? What's his name? Mufti Shah Jahan. I can't remember his full name, but Mufti Shah Jahan. He is the Hanafi Mufti of Dubai from Afghanistan. He said, I walked past, I don't know how many mountains I walked through in order to find the sheikh who's going to teach me adabiyat. Because that's part of his literature. It's very important, right? Imam Shafi'i, he said, Imam Shafi'i, he memorized all the poetry of the tribe of Hudayl. These were some Bedouins who lived in the high mountains. Their Arabic is very difficult and they have lots of difficult words. Why? Because you can't understand the Quran without Arabic. You can't understand anything without Arabic, right? And so so in America now, history, not important. Fill in the blanks, it's easy. It's not a difficult thing, right? And fill in the blanks, it's not a big deal. And language arts is going down the drain like this, bit by bit. Right? When it used to be very hard. It used to be, you're going to study English, you're going to study Latin, you're going to study the past, what happened to the Greeks and the Romans and everything. So this is an intentional thing to make people not know their language and not know the history, and then you can control them. That's the whole point, control. Make them focus on science and math and say that's intelligent. If you're intelligent, if you can do science and math, become a doctor, become an engineer, and make sure they don't think. Because anything thinking is dangerous. If people have thinking people, they're dangerous, right? So this is a key thing. So yes, math is very important. Yes, science is very important. But what do we do half the time is language arts and math. So now you have somebody who thinks they're intelligent. I've studied science, I studied engineering, I've studied math, I can do complex equations, fantastic. But they don't know, they're not familiar with complex things in language and complex things in history. So they come to the Quran and say, the Quran says this. And you say, brother, it doesn't say that. And he says, no, and you're a kafir, I'm going to kill you. It's very easy because he read something and he thinks 1 + 1 = 2. But in language, it's not like that. Language, there's things that are clear and things that are not clear. History, there's things that are clear and things that are not clear. And so this is a very simple thing that everyone understood, right? So there's some things are clear, some things are not clear. And why are they not clear? Because I've dealt with history and I've looked at history and I understand some things we understand, things we don't understand, right? And you deal with language like, yeah, this is clear, this is not clear, etc. And so this is a whole class. I did like an 8-hour class, I think it was, in another at Zaytech in Mountain House on why is there more than one way to understand the deen. 2 reasons, history and language. But people don't care about language, people don't get history, so they don't see it. They see it's my way or the highway. The deen is only 8 rakahs. You should only ever pray 8 rakahs and of Taraweeh, otherwise you're wrong and you're kafir and you're stupid. Or it's only 20 rakahs, or you're wrong and you're ignorant and you're stupid. They don't know history, so they don't know what's going on. They don't know what happened 100 years ago, 200 years ago. No idea whatsoever, right? And no idea what the ulama said, what they didn't say. No idea how difficult it is to find out what the ulama said, right? So somebody say, well, do you want to follow so-and-so, or so-and-so? Say, yeah, but when I'm trying to find out what somebody said, it's hard to find out, right? So did the Prophet say it or did he not say it? If you know history, you can't speak like that. You say, to what extent are you confident that he said it? That's a question. To what extent are you confident? As opposed to I know and I don't know. Because we're dealing with the past, right? Dealing with the past is difficult. Dealing with language, to what extent is it clear? Is it crystal clear, right? And so all the ulama, when we study, they have this in their heads. There's things that are qat'i, the things that are dhanni, things that are crystal clear, things that are not crystal clear. Iman and kufr based on the qat'i. There's no way this could be wrong. This is crystal clear in the Quran, crystal clear in the hadith. There's no way the Prophet didn't say it. That's the deen, khalas. And things that are dhanni, we think that's the case, but we're not sure, right? And where do we find that? In fiqh, we say this is wajib and this is fard. Okay. Fard is, you have to do the fard and you have to do the wajib. So what's the difference? Right? We say witr is wajib, but it's not fard. Well, what does that mean? That means we say we have looked at the history and we believe the Prophet ﷺ told us to pray witr, and we believe that we're sinful if you don't pray witr. But we don't know. So that's wajib. As opposed to fajr, we looked at history and we believe that the Prophet ﷺ told us to pray fajr and told us there's 2 rakahs and told us you're sinful if you don't pray fajr. And we know that's the case because it's historically clear and the language is clear. So, but people who don't see that, they're like, I'm just confused. Because they don't know history and they don't know language. And when they go to school, they don't emphasize history and they don't emphasize language. So they get even more confused. And all they know is chemistry. Okay, is it this chemical or that chemical? It's easy. Is it this number or that number? Like in math, it's not A or B. It's just B or just A. It's simple, right? But math isn't real, right? How many things do I have in front of me? Oh, 1 computer, right? That's assuming you make it a computer. Maybe it's 2 pieces, 3 pieces, 4 pieces. If I break it into pieces, the numbers don't actually exist in reality. Numbers exist in our brain. We make things out of things. But how many atoms there are, how many quarks, how many neutrons, how many this, if you go on forever, is matter continuous or is it discrete? Can you actually cut it up into small pieces? In reality, is there such things as 1s and 2s and 3s? This is This is so what we do in math is we make things very simple, and therefore we get easy answers. But it's not actually like that, right? That's just a way of manipulating reality, but it's not a reality. So what happens then is we read the Quran, read the Hadith. Some things are crystal clear, some things are not crystal clear. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, those with deviant hearts, they have a problem with them. Follow the elusive verses that could be understood this way, could be understood that way, seeking to spread doubt through their false interpretations, right? So what you can do then is you can get a hadith and interpret in the wrong way easily. Get an ayah of the Quran, interpret in the wrong way, right? Google, what does the Quran say about other religions? And you're going to find on Wikipedia, oh, this verse in the Quran says all religions are equal. You're going to find it on Wikipedia, a whole page, other religions in the Quran or something like that. So you can do that if you want to come along and make all the religions the same. And today the rabbi is going to give a khutbah, and tomorrow I'm going to go to church and give a khutbah in the church. And all the religions, it's easy. You can do that. You can get a verse that could be understood in two ways, and you twist it. You get a hadith, twist it. Very easy. It's very, very easy. It's not difficult, right? That's why the ulama are the most dangerous of people, because they can change the deen like that. That's why we need to know things so that we're like, hang on, no, that's not the case. But I'm going to come along here and stand on the khutbah, on the minbar, and quote a hadith and a verse of the Quran and change the deen easily. That's why you need to know your deen. That's why we need to study. You say, Shaykh, mashallah, may Allah reward you. How many thousand scholars agree with you? Good question. Now you know that I changed the deen. Right? Now you know that I changed the deen. So I can quote a hadith and explain it to you in a different way. Right? Make Islam, during the Soviet Union, make Islam communist. Easy. Zakat, it's about spreading of wealth everywhere, make it a communist thing. The Prophet came along and he told us to free slaves, so that's why everybody should be free. Okay, and then next regime, change it. One day make it a feminist religion, one day make it a this religion. The ulama are very dangerous. But if we have ilm, they're not dangerous. And we can say, he's saying this and he's saying this, right? And so it's very easy. People can change the deen very easily, right? Look at the Shia, they'll do all these things. They'll find little things here and there, that little kinds of points of truth, and change it, right? Sahih hadith with the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Ali is to me like Harun was to Musa. Oh, Sahih hadith. Scary. There's a hadith as well. Two versions of the hadith. One hadith says, I have left behind me two things. If you hold tight to them, you'll never go astray. One version of the hadith says, my book and my sunnah. The other version of the hadith says, my book and my family. Oh, right? And there's more than that. So I take 1, 2, 3 hadith, and then suddenly Shi'i revolution in Saudi. Right? You can do that very easily. So these people, if you could take a verse and change it like this, like that. Many verses of the Quran, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, what was it? He said that the difference, the gap between a person and shirk is the prayer. So whoever doesn't pray is a mushrik. Easy. Kill all these people who don't pray. I go and say that ruler, who is it, the president of Tajikistan, does he pray? No. Okay, kill him. Can you see how we can destroy things in 1 minute? 1 minute, you can destroy everything. Could you take a verse, twist it? Take a verse, twist it. Right? وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. Okay, King so-and-so, do you apply the Sharia? No. Kafir. Right? The policeman who stopped me at the red light, for driving through the red light, I say, excuse me, policeman, does it say in the Quran that I have to stop at a red light? No. Kafir. See? I can divide families. I can do everything. Extremism is very easy. Very easy. Again, if you study history, study language, we studied in Umayyad poetry, the khutbahs and the poetry of extremist Muslims. They're very good with their tongues, right? Because they take a verse and they apply it in a very extreme way, and they can change the people like that. Make everybody become Shi'i. Make everybody come say, focus on Allah's rahmah. Brother, the Sharia is extra. You should just rely on Allah's rahmah. Quote every single verse of rahmah and make everybody do haram. Say to brother, just rely on Allah's rahmah. Your good deeds won't get you to Jannah anyway. You see? I can twist it very easily. Very easily. Or everybody's going to hell. even if you try your best. Because look at this hadith, look at this ayah, look at this ayah. You take little slices from here, slices from here, you can make the deen whatever you want. Make the deen whatever you want, right? The what's it called? You could easily LGBTQ plus, you could put it there easily, not a problem. Change this, change that, you can do all sorts of things if you don't have ikhlas. But if you have ikhlas and you have ilm, it's different. You can say, I know this, I don't know this, I organize this, etc. And so how do we protect ourselves against this? Is how many thousand scholars agreed with you? Very simple. I quote all sorts of hadith say, how many thousand scholars agreed with you? And so this is a message that I've been giving for 5 years, Imam Bakr has been giving for 5 years. But a lot of people in the world, a lot of people in our community do not agree with this. They're very happy to have a new deen because they don't know. Because they're sold the idea, Quran and Sunnah. Quran and Sunnah can be changed like this and like this in 1 second. Very easy, not a problem. And so we have to be careful about these things. And so those with deviant hearts follow the elusive verses, seeking to spread doubt through their false interpretations. But none grasps their full understanding except Allah. As for the well-grounded in knowledge, they say, we believe in this Quran. It is all from our Lord, right? And none will be mindful except the people of reason. So when you hear somebody say fard and wajib, you know in their mind they have ilm, they have turath, they're part of a tradition, and they know the difference between what I know and what I think. But if you don't, you know somebody who doesn't know the difference between what they think and what they know, they're very extreme. They're very extreme, right? Like science. When you do a science textbook, they say this happened. You know that happened or you think that happened. They don't make a distinction. In science, because science is the new religion, we know this, and we know this, and we know this. Only recently did science find out that universe didn't always exist. You know the word Big Bang? The word Big Bang was originally a joke. Somebody said it as a joke. They're like, are you trying to say there was a big bang, haha, like a joke? And then they realized, oh, no, there's evidence that universe, I know the Bible said the universe was created, but we don't believe that. There's no scientific evidence for that. The universe has always been here. And then they found out, no, the universe is expanding, the universe this, the universe that. They found out things otherwise. So science, most of science is what we don't know, not what we do know. We don't know what electron is. We don't know what matter is. We don't know what gravity is. We don't know anything in science. And so science is, when you have people who think like that, they're dangerous people. They think they don't know the difference between what they know and what they think, right? Somebody asks me a question and I say, I think this, right? When I say the Shafi school says, that means 10,000 scholars have agreed with me, but they don't know it's true, right? You say, ask me, do I have to pray witr in the Shafi school? And I say, no. What does that mean? It means I don't know. And I think it's not wajib. And 10,000 plus scholars have said that, right? When you say in the Hanafi school, you say that's 10,000 scholars. They say it's wajib, meaning we don't know. But yes, we do think you should do it. And 10,000 scholars have agreed with us. When somebody says Quran and Sunnah, it's one person. One person either taking you this way or taking you that way. And it sounds good, right? But it's not. It's just a style of teaching, right? And so they say, our Lord, do not let our hearts deviate after you have guided us. Grant us your mercy. You are indeed the giver of all bounties. Our Lord, you will certainly gather all humanity for a promised day, about which there is no doubt. Surely Allah does not break his promise. And so it's the hijab. Where is the verse of hijab in the Quran? It is not crystal clear at all. Okay, there's a hadith in Abu Dawood, but Asma, the sister of Aisha radiallahu anha, came into the house of the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ said, you know, when a girl reaches puberty, she has to cover everything apart from this and this. The hadith is weak. So in 30 seconds, I get rid of the hijab. But then you say, Sheikh Farid, what do the other scholars say about hijab? Oh, they all say it's wajib. How many? 10,000, a million. Something wrong with this guy. But I can change the deen. Any scholar can change the deen. If you take out history, delete history, you can change the deen like that. Look at what happens, everybody leaving at 8 rakahs. Go to Afghanistan for the last 1,200 years, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 2000 to the Afghanistan, version 2025, 8 rakats. How did that happen? You deleted history. So now I have no comparison. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Delete history. I don't know what happened. Delete language. I don't know. I don't understand things. So you can change what I say, right? And this is a very important thing. Editing history is what countries do to control their people. Controlling education is what countries do in order to look at the Soviet Union. That's what they did. Ban history. Make sure everybody does Russian. That's what they people do, that they make sure they control your understanding of language and control your understanding of history in order to control you. So you don't know what happened, right? I'm sure soon we're going to see that you're going to ask somebody about, in the history books, 9/11. They're not going to tell us the truth about 9/11. Was it Building 7, what they call it? Was it Building 7? Like one building that fell with no reason whatsoever. Just ignore it. There's no reason. Just not going to talk about it. Just not going to talk about it, right? Just like they didn't talk about the California genocide. 90% of Californians murdered. They don't tell us that in textbooks. They don't tell your kids. Maybe they'll tell the next generation, but it's not useful. That doesn't help California to tell us that we're murderers and that how much blood was spilt, how many children were killed here, how many women were dishonored, it's not useful, right? You study history, the whole of the world happened in one place, Western Europe. That's when you study history. The whole of mankind happened in Eastern Europe, in Western Europe, sorry, in France, in Germany, in Greece, and in England. England did this, then England did this, and then England. Well, the whole world is England. That's when you study history. Study history is all about ancient Roman, ancient Greek. Like the whole world's there. What about that small place called Africa? That small continent called Africa? What about that small place called Asia? What about China? What about India? Nothing in the textbooks. So that's intentional. Make you feel like you don't have a history. Like English is like 500-year-old language. You go 500 years ago, you won't understand people. 1,000 years ago, you would not understand people at all. No way. It's not English at all. Well, just because you have Shakespeare, just because you conquered a few countries in the last few hundred years, that's it. Then you change the whole history of mankind and say the whole history of mankind is all about white people. That's not. Where were these people? Who built the pyramids? Who built this? Who built this? The Aztecs, all these different things. The ancient Persians, right? The Romans, they probably weren't even white anyway. But you change people. That's what they did. People go to church and see a white Jesus. Jesus was not white. So that you're told you're black and your God is white. Make you think a certain way. It's not true. It's not true. Right? Blonde hair is good. Blonde hair is a defect in the genes, by the way. It's a defect in the genes. Blonde and ginger is a defect in the genes. It's a problem with the genes, right? So, so there's many things where you change history and you change everything. You change. So we need to know history. We need to know language, and you'll be fine. You'll understand. Look at the past, and you'll understand everything. Don't look at the past. You won't understand a single thing. Right? You won't understand a single thing. Indeed, neither the wealth nor the children of the disbelievers will be of any benefit to them against Allah, and they will be the fuel of the fire. Their fate will be like the people of Pharaoh and those before them. They rejected our signs, so Allah sees them for their sins. Right? So when we come and live in America, this is how we should see ourselves. Imagine if you lived at the time of Sayyidina Yaqub. What's Sayyidina Yaqub's name? Jacob in English, and Israel. So Israel, that's Sayyidina Yaqub. They're the same person, right? So you are living in this place somewhere in the Levant. And there's a place to the west, which is called Egypt. They're super wealthy, and they have a huge river, and they have huge temples, and they worship gods, and they worship things. And you worship Allah. You're poor, and you live a simple life. And over in Egypt, they have gods and gold and stuff like that. So that's how you view Egypt. Do you want to go and live there? No. Do they have money? Yes. So they were in a situation with time Sayyidina Ayub, Sayyidina Yaqub, but they had no food. There's no food. So they had to send the brothers to Egypt to go and ask for food. But they don't want to live in Egypt. They don't care about Egypt. This is how we should see the West, right? This is how we should see the West. I didn't have a choice. My mum had to have an operation. And the only place they can do an operation is here. And the only people who could follow up is here. And now she needs to do this, and now I have to be here. Now. But do I want to be here? No. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us again and again and again in the Quran is that the default is money is bad. Wealthy people are usually bad people. That's the default. In Afghanistan, the wealthy people in Afghanistan, are they good or bad? Very bad. In Pakistan, wealthy people, very bad. In Arab world, bad. That's default. There are certain people who are very wealthy and very righteous. It's true. But normally, this is the picture. Allah gives you the dunya, you fail the test, and you become bad, and you start worshipping false idols. That's the normal system, right? That's the normal system. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, they'll be like the fate of Fir'aun, the people of Fir'aun, right? So this is how we live in a country, say, oh, this is like we live in a place of sin. We live in a place of shirk. We live in a place of kufr. And we're only here lid-darura, because I don't have a choice. If I could live somewhere else, I would, right? This is how we should see things. They rejected our signs, so Allah seized them for their sins, and Allah is severe in punishment. O Prophet, tell the disbelievers, soon you will be overpowered and driven to hell, and what an evil place to rest. Indeed, there is a sign for you in the two armies that met in battle. This is at Uhud, I believe. One fighting for the sake of Allah and the other in denial. The believers saw their enemy as twice in number. But Allah, so again, exactly the same as today. Believers look at themselves, oh, we can't possibly win. We just have to. So every single Muslim country, that's how they're thinking right now. We have no power. We have to join sides with the kuffar. That's how they think. Every single Muslim country is going to do the same thing, right? But Allah supports with His victory whomever He wills. Surely in this there is a lesson. There is a lesson for people of insight. The enjoyment of worldly desires, women, children, treasures of gold and silver, fine horses, cattle, and fertile land has been made appealing to people. People like things like this. SubhanAllah, you can see how weird the West is now, that we don't even value women and don't even value children. Become homosexual and you don't have kids. You want to have a dog. You see people pushing the dog around in the push chairs, like SubhanAllah, right? So like normal kuffar, they want to have children, because if you have children, you have a future. Like the kuffar of the kuffar, you don't even want to have children, right? You're just insane, right? So women, children, treasures of gold and silver, fine horses, nice cars, American cars, right? Cattle, fertile land, fantastic, has been made appealing to people. These are the pleasures of this worldly life. But with Allah is the finest destination. So should we chase after these things? No, we should not chase after these things, right? So what we need to have is kafaf. Do you have enough money to hold back harm? No. Okay. But where you need to go? I need to go to another country. I need to find another job. I need to do this. But if you have enough money to hold back harm, right? That's called kef in Arabic. This is called your kef. Kaffa yakufu means to hold something back, push something away. So I am so poor that I am dying. I am so poor that I'm getting sick. I'm so poor my mom needs an operation and I can't afford it. Okay, you need to go to another country, make work and come back. As opposed to, I need to have a big house. You don't need to have a big house. I need to have a cool car. I need to have this and have that. You don't need to have any of these things, right? And so many people have come to the West, they're left a Muslim country and come to a non-Muslim country because of duress. They're forced. They're a refugee. They're not safe in their country. They have no choice. And many people just come for the dunya. So Allah's saying, you want money, you want a nice car, you want a nice house, you want land. That's not a clever way of thinking at all. These are the pleasures of the worldly life. right? But with Allah is the finest destination. Say, O Prophet, shall I inform you of what is better than all of this? Those mindful of what of Allah, the people who have taqwa, will have gardens with with the Lord underneath which rivers flow, to stay there forever, and pure spouses, along with Allah's pleasure. And Allah is all seeing of His servants who pray, Our Lord, we have believed, so forgive us our sins and protect us from the torment of the fire. It is they who are patient, sincere, right? Patient meaning you don't do the haram. Patient meaning difficulty comes and it's from Allah, it's okay. Sincere, they do it for the sake of Allah, not for anybody else. Obedient, they obey Allah, they don't disobey Allah. They're charitable and who pray for forgiveness before dawn, right? So key thing, what is better? Praying in the last 10 nights of Ramadan, 20 rak'ahs, and then praying Qiyam al-Layl and giving sadaqah, or praying two rak'ahs the whole year, 2 minutes before Fajr. Right? So many people, this is what they do. They're only in the masjid in Ramadan and they want to do lots of good deeds and then that's it. Forget about it. No. Right? Get up 2 minutes before Ramadan Fajr, make wudu, pray 2 rak'ahs and say, Allah, please forgive me. And you do that every single day until you die. It's way better than a million rak'ahs, right? Inshallah, you can do a million rak'ahs as well in Ramadan, but being regular. You prayed Taraweeh, but you didn't pray Fajr. Makes no sense.
People make Taraweeh above Fard.
Exactly. So,
Above Fard.
inshallah, I'm going to come, make sure you're at the masjid. So you missed Isha. So I'm praying Isha in the masjid, praying Fajr in the masjid. This is the most important thing. If you can't do it, many people that, in the winter, they can't because they have to go to work or whatever it is. But they don't understand. They're not doing what Allah wants. They're doing what the people want, right? I didn't see it Taraweeh, okay, but where are you at Fajr? Fajr is way more important than Taraweeh, right? And so, right, the Prophet ﷺ, Aisha radiallahu anha, when she described the Prophet's ibadah, he said his ibadah was dima, was like a sprinkling rain. So do you want a sprinkling rain that's continual, or do you want a torrential rain that pulls up, that takes away trees, right? So yes, doing lots of good deeds. It's better to do lots of good deeds once in your life than do nothing. Of course, not a problem. Your friend only turns up at Laylatul Qadr, otherwise they don't pray. Okay, that's fine. But we want to do small actions on a regular basis with shukr, with love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with quality, right? And وَالْمُسْتَغْفِرِينَ بِالْأَسْحَارِ, they wake up before Fajr and they say, oh Allah, please forgive me. Allah Himself is a witness that there is no God worthy of worship except Him, and so are the angels and the people of knowledge. He is the maintainer of justice. There is no God worthy of worship except Him, the Almighty, the All-Wise. Certainly, Allah's only way is the way of Islam. Again, so if someone's going to quote, oh no, Islam accepts all religions. Look, the Muslims, there were Jews in Afghanistan, there were Jews in Iraq, there's Jews in Yemen, there was Jews everywhere, and Islam accepted Jews. All the Christians, Allah accepted, the Prophet, you said you can marry a Christian. Islam accepts all religions. No, Islam does not accept all religions. Islam tolerates all religions. There's a difference. Right? So there's a person, for example, you have a guest who comes to your house and he says, I'm sorry, I smoke. Can I just go outside? I know it's iftar. I'm just going to step outside for a second. Do you respect that or do you tolerate it? You tolerate it. I'm not going to kick you out of my house. Right? He wants to do cocaine at your house. I'm sorry, I don't tolerate that. You want to smoke at my house? Okay, brother can just step outside. I understand you have that sin. I understand it's difficult and you need to, it's very hard for you. Okay, just go and do it outside. Don't do it in my house, please. Right? You tolerate certain things. Your convert friend is bringing his girlfriend to your house because she's interested in Islam. You might tolerate it. You don't respect it. Your brother's bringing his girlfriend to your house. She's not interested in Islam. I say, I'm sorry. Please don't do it. It's just not nice. You already know she doesn't want to change. Just come by yourself, or she can come and see my wife, but the two of you coming to my house like this, I don't tolerate that. So the things we tolerate and there's things that we respect. We don't respect other faiths, we tolerate other faiths. And when Sayyidina Isa comes, he will come, what will he do? He'll break the cross. He will not tolerate his Christianity anymore. It will not tolerate Judaism anymore. Because now imagine if you respected Judaism and then the Prophet Isa comes and breaks the cross, and you're like, oh, that's haram. What are you talking about, right? So Islam does not respect other religions; it tolerates other religions, right? So we have to be careful with our language, right? So there was a huge Jewish renaissance in Muslim Spain because we tolerated Jews and we gave Jews freedom. So they had time to become educated and develop their sciences, etc., and study, etc. Whereas there's a difference between being tolerant and respecting. Those who were given the scripture did not dispute among themselves out of mutual envy until knowledge came to them. Whoever denies Allah's signs, then surely Allah is swift in reckoning. So a common theme in the Quran, the Jews and the Christians are envious of us because revelation has come for us and they see it and it's obvious. You see a hijabi, it's obvious. You see somebody doing sujood, it's obvious. You see somebody says drinking alcohol is bad. Yeah, obviously it's bad. Everybody knows that, right? But they don't want to change. So they have hasad, right? They have this envy. Whoever denies Allah's signs, then surely Allah is swift in reckoning. So if they argue with you, O Prophet, say, I have submitted myself to Allah, and so have my followers. Ask those who were given the scripture and the illiterate people, have you submitted yourselves to Allah? If they submit, they will be rightly guided. But if they turn away, then your duty is only to deliver the message. So you're not responsible for guiding people. You're responsible for telling people. That's all. Allah is all seeing of His servants. Indeed, those who deny Allah's signs kill the prophets unjustly and kill people who stand up for justice. Give them good news of a painful punishment. They are the ones whose deeds are wasted in this world and the hereafter, and they will have no helpers. Have you not seen those who were given a portion of the scriptures? Yet when they invited to the book of Allah to settle their disputes, some of them turn away heedlessly. This is because they say, the fire will not touch us except for a few days. So this is a belief of some Jews, is that they say that, yes, Jews will go to hell, but not for a long time. So it's okay. Just do whatever, and then you go to hell for a bit, and that's it. They have been deceived in their faith by their wishful lying. How horrible will it be when we gather them together on a day about which there is no doubt, when every soul will be paid in full for what it has done and will not be wronged. So this is again an idea of many Jews, an idea of many Muslims as well. It's okay, I'll just go to hell for a bit. It's just not a big deal, right? 1 second of hell is a big deal. 1 second of hell is a big deal. So somebody will be put in hell and then they'll be taken out, split second, and they will say, did you ever have any goodness in your life at all? Did you enjoy anything? Did you have a nice childhood? Did you ever see a sunrise? Did you ever eat anything that was nice? Did you ever experience any pleasure? Was anything nice in your life? They'll say no. So every single thing will be cancelled out. 1 second of hell. So it's not worth it. Hell is not worth it. Believers should not take the disbelievers as guardians instead of the believers. This is going to come maybe 5 times in the Quran. So what do we do today? This country is aligned with these kuffar. This country is aligned with this kuffar. Every Muslim country is aligned with a certain kafir system. What does Allah say in the Quran? Don't do that. Believers should not take the disbelievers as guardians instead of the believers. Rather, the Muslims should team up. If you all die, so let it be. It's not a problem. You're not expected to do what you can't do. We're expected to team up as Muslims. So are the Arab Muslims united? No. Are the non-Arab Muslims united? No. Divide and conquer. That's how it is. That's what happened in Spain. Every single Muslim ruler in Spain teams up against his brother and fights, and now where is Islam in Spain? Nowhere. 800 years of Islam gone. Right? So we think about Islam in India. Islam in India is not that long. 500 years. Right? We think, oh, Indian scholars, this scholar, this scholar, this scholar, all these things. India, I think about India and Muslims, right? India Muslims. But 800 years of Muslims in Spain. And not just any old Muslims, amazing Muslims. Muslims we quote all the time. Muslims we're going to quote all the time. Look at all the early commentaries on Sahih Muslim in Spain. Manuscripts of Bukhari in Spain. This book, Spain. That book, Spain. Everything's in Spain. Tafsir al-Qurtubi, Spain. Cordoba, Spain. Everything's
center of education.
Center of education. So many scholars, so many Muslims, so many things. Where is it now? Gone because of this. Believers should not take the disbelievers as guardians instead of believers. Simple.
So all scientists, they're all from Spain.
Yeah.
Muslim scientists.
Exactly. So what do? Is we do the opposite. Right? We do the opposite. Is that I know. Let's look like this. I'm trying to take over this masjid. How am I going to take over this masjid? Now, if I team up with the board and Imam Abu Bakr, they're gonna put me in second position. I want to be number one. So what do? I go to the mayor and I say, we need to promote a more balanced version of Islam. And we need to do that. I become friends with the mayor of Brentwood. And then he's like, Fareed, and I go to church now and then, I share some ideas and I ask him, and then I say, hey, I'm going to invite you to Brentwood to give a sermon on Friday because you have really good ideas. And then they're like, oh, Mr. Mayor, they didn't, the board, they're extremists, they didn't do it. So what is it? Now I'm the imam, 20,000, 30,000 a month, right? And I go here and give talks about this and that, teaming up with the kuffar. This is power. This is how it works. That's how it works. Right? So that's what every single Muslim ruler is going to do. I want the most power. I want the most thing. I'm going to team up with the Russians. I'm going to team up with this. I'm going to team up with that. That's what you're going to do. Right? And so it's very simple. But Allah says, don't do that. But people want to pray Taraweeh, but they don't want to apply the Quran. I just want to hear something, this ruler, they paid for the iftar. I don't want you to pay for the iftar. Don't pay for the iftar. I don't know, was president was Tajikistan or president or Pakistan or whoever it is, I did this. Don't pay. Don't build a masjid. Just follow the Quran. Just team up with the Muslims and take the bullet. But nobody wants to take the bullet. You have to take a bullet at some point, right? It's a shame that our own president, JFK was assassinated. But okay, when you see a Muslim ruler who's assassinated, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. Saddam Hussein is assassinated. That's a good sign. That means he's starting to do what is right. Gaddafi, it's a good sign. You want to take the bullet. That's what that's what you paid for, right? You're going to do what is right and you're going to be assassinated at one point. That's what's supposed to happen. If you're not assassinated, that means the bad people like you, right? If the bad people don't criticize you and call you a terrorist, that means you're with them, right? And so, unfortunately, people don't see that. May Allah protect us, and guide us. And they love the dunya. So it all starts with that. You love the dunya too much. So they grew up fat, money, cars, watches, new iPhones, new this, new that. And you tell them you might lose this, by the way. They can't say no. So this is the new colonization, is you don't colonize, but you control from the outside. You make sure they have corrupt rulers and you keep giving them money so they do what you want to do, right? So, look at all the stands around Russia, same thing there. Just say yes to Putin. Whatever Putin says, we'll do. Outwardly, he's not ruling, but he's still ruling. Same thing, the West is still, France is still in all these countries, England, America is still in all these countries, etc. Right? May Allah protect us. So we have to have this where people, when people are ready to take the bullet, then we can go somewhere. You're not ready to take the bullet. So it's Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, what did he do? He stood in front of the Kaaba in Mecca when the Muslims are weak and he recited the Quran, he got beaten up. And he did it again. He's like, I'm happy. And they beat him up for reciting the Quran publicly. So that's Iman. That's what we need to take the bullet. Right? But people don't want to take the bullet. So hani'an lahum ahl Gaza, right? People of Gaza, they're taking the bullet, but nobody else will do it. And sometimes it's pointless because you say, if I died, then the worst person's going to take my place. So there's some logic to it sometimes, right? If I died, then what would be the point? So I know that I'm the only good person in this room. not reality. Like say I'm a president and I have this cousin. You know that there's going to be a coup and you're going to kill me and put him in. He's worse than me.
Yeah.
So, okay, there's some logic to it, right? we're not judging individuals, right? We're not judging individuals. We're saying the whole idea is there. Well, as long as we're ready to die and we don't care about the dunya and we care about the akhirah, it's easy, right? But when you're not willing to die, it's not going to work. Right? It's not willing to work. It's not going to work. And whoever does so will have nothing to hope from Allah unless it is a precaution against their tyranny. And Allah warns you about وَيُحَذِّرُكُمُ اللَّهُ نَفْسَهُ. And Allah warns you about Himself. Don't mess with Allah. Right? So you're going to do something, a political strategy, be careful of Allah. And to Allah is the final return. So very simple. If the Muslims united, they'll be fine. But they don't. Right? Say, O Prophet, whether you conceal what is in your hearts or reveal it, it is known to Allah. For He knows whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on earth, and Allah is most capable of everything. Watch for the day when every soul will be presented with whatever good it has done, and it will wish that its misdeeds were far off, and Allah warns you about Himself, and Allah is ever graceful to His servants. Say, O Prophet, if you sincerely love Allah, then follow me, then diligently follow me. Allah will love you and forgive your sins, for Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. Say, O Prophet, obey Allah and His Messenger. If they still turn away, then truly Allah does not like the disbelieving people. Then I'm just going to go on to the next point about these blessed people. And so, a key concept in the Quran, Allah never tells us to obey Him, except that He also tells us to obey Allah. So people come along today and say, no, the Prophet ﷺ is just a messenger. We're supposed to follow the Quran, not the Sunnah. Right? But Allah tells us in the Quran, every single time He tells us to obey Him, He tells us to obey His messenger. وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. Right? So people come along and say, that's not in the Quran. Not in the Quran. There was a lady, she had a tattoo. And I think it was Abdullah ibn Mas'ud or somebody else. She said, I heard that you curse people who wear tattoos. Says, yeah. Why should I not curse somebody who Allah's messenger has cursed? She said, I read the Quran from cover to cover. It says nothing about tattoos. He says, yeah, you need to read it again. It says, Ma آتاكم الرسول فخذوه وما نهاكم عنه فانتهوا. Whatever the messenger gives you, take. Whatever he prohibits you, stop. So, it was in the Quran, right? And it's such a stupid idea that nobody has said that before. Like usually there's clever mistakes that people made in the past. It's a mistake, it's a clever mistake. Like if you're intelligent, you might make that mistake. But this is so dumb that it's only a recent mistake. So if you don't believe in the Prophet, then you say the Sunnah and the Quran is all made up. He's a liar or mistaken or he's insane about the Quran and the Sunnah. Right? If you at time of the Prophet ﷺ, there's one person speaking to you, one person leading the prayer. He's saying these words. Yes, there's certain words that he repeats in prayer, and other words he doesn't repeat in prayer. That's the only difference. So the only essential difference between the Quran and the Sunnah is that one is ibadah to recite and one's not. So if you sit here and you say, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, repeating the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is not ibadah. Unless you're trying to memorize it, unless you're trying to teach it, unless you're trying to apply it. It's not an act of worship. But if you say, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, that's ibadah. If I'm in janaba, I can recite a hadith. If I'm in janaba, I cannot recite Quran. Right? In prayer, I stand up and I recite 10,000, the whole of Sahih Bukhari from cover to cover. Prayer doesn't count because you've got to do Quran. So the only difference between the Quran and the Sunnah is that the Quran is a ritual to recite. That's the only difference. Right? Whereas the Sunnah is from the Prophet ﷺ, from Allah, and the Quran is from the Prophet ﷺ, from Allah. Right? I didn't receive the Quran, you didn't receive the Quran from the Prophet ﷺ, we received it from our scholars. So from the scholars before them, from the scholars from the Prophet ﷺ, from Allah. Unless he's a liar and you don't believe him at all. So either you'll be a kafir or this, but you're 50-50. And it's inconsistent. Like it's inconsistent. May Allah forgive us all. And you find the same thing. There's somebody comes along and says, I only follow Quran and Sunnah. Okay, how do you pray? Quran and Sunnah. Do you pray as you read in the Quran and Sunnah, or do you pray as you were taught? You pray as you were taught. So I have a question for you, brother. Can you eat in prayer? Say, no. Okay, where's that? There's no hadith that says you can't eat in prayer. So they'll say, I just follow Quran and Sunnah. You don't actually follow Quran and Sunnah. What you do is you do what people do on YouTube. And they say Quran and Sunnah, so you copy them. That's what you do. You're copying some scholars that say certain things. So you could either copy these 10,000 scholars called the Hanafis, or you could follow this scholar who just came from Saudi. It's up to you. 10,000 versus one, you choose, right? You can follow these group of scholars called the Hanbalis, or you can follow Sheikh Farid Dingle, Allahu Akbar, mashallah. One person versus the Hanbali school. The people have been following for a long time. The Shafi'i school, the Maliki school, Muslim Spain, Maliki, right? So this large body of thousands of scholars, or one person who's quoting a verse of the Quran or a hadith. That's actually what's happening, right? Because you ask them, right? So then he said, yeah. So then they'll go to an extreme. This is what happens then. So the next extreme is, yeah, I'm going to start eating in prayer. There's no hadith on it. Why not? There's no hadith on it. The Prophet ﷺ said the Prophet ﷺ said that the prayer of a ha'id is not accepted without a khimar. So therefore, if a woman's on a period, she should wear a khimar and pray. That's what it says. And you're like, no, it doesn't mean that. Why? That's what it says. So people, they make this claim, but it's not actually real. It's just it's an immature claim. It's like a claim of a teenager. I don't need my mom or my dad. Okay, go. Mama, can you pick me up? Because you're a teenager. It's a teenage way of thinking. It's not a real way of thinking. Because you're not actually doing that. Nobody's actually doing that. Everybody is following a system, either a crazy system or a real system, one of the two, right? So countless hadiths, so you don't actually follow that hadith. What you follow is what people talk about on YouTube, right? And people object only to what is objected on YouTube. If it's not objected on YouTube, they're not going to object to it. So they're just following. Nobody's sitting there reading hadith and saying this hadith and that hadith. They're not actually doing that. What they're doing is, this sheikh said this, and I was convinced of an idea, so I'm now going to preach it as a new understanding. That's what they're doing. So now it's this sheikh versus this system. That's what it is. Right? Displacement reaction, right? Chemistry, displacement, right? This chemical took the place of this chemical. That's what it is. So you took something and you just displaced it with something else, and that thing that you displaced it with is not as good. Right? So you said, I hate all doctors. They're crazy. I'm going to go Sheikh Farid. He gave me a nice massage the other day. So if I give you a massage, doesn't mean I can help you with your bypass, can help you with your broken leg. But no, Sheikh Farid. Right? Akhirah over the dunya. It's like, that's not a good system. That's a very poor system. So this is what people do, right? So the same kind of thing. So the Quraniyun idea, it comes from the same thing, right? And many people who are hardcore Quran and Sunnah, they become Quraniyun, and then they leave the deen. Because it's a whole thing. It's just basically continually doubting every single thing, and without a logic to it. You should doubt things, you should think, but without a logic. And then you come down and say, I don't know anything, and then they end up leaving the deen, right? Or they have a very difficult deen where they don't pray and they don't, there'll be people like that. You never see in the masjid, they drink and stuff like that because they don't know what is right and what is wrong anymore, right? Ibn Wahab, he said this, one of the great muhaddithin of Egypt. He said, I studied hadith until I got confused. And were it not for Layth ibn Sa'ad and Imam Malik, I would be lost, right? You need a system. You need a system to organize information, right? So there's difference between data and organized data. Google doesn't just have data, it organizes the data for you. First page, click here. Second page, click. AI. Many people who looked for this, right? That's organizing information. That's what a madhab does, organizes the Quran and Sunnah for you. It's not trying to replace the Quran and Sunnah, it's organizing it for you. But you now have no logarithm. You say, I want no logarithm. So what page are you going to find? You're on page 200 of all the information. And when you use a search engine that doesn't work, it's annoying. That's what it is. You use a search engine that doesn't work. Right? May Allah forgive us all. And may Allah stop me talking. Supposed to finish 10 minutes ago. Okay. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad. So we started the beginning of Al Imran. Now we're on to 33, inshallah. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحان الله وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.
The one story I want to tell you about reciting,